What's going on? All right. Let me make some adjustments here so we don't hear the echo. It's about to, okay, here we go. Turn this up. Make this correction. All right, mute that. We got some boxing to talk about. And, okay, this one's good now. Let me see something here. Okay, there we go. Let me let that play out real quick. Skip that. All right, pause it. Now I'm ready to go. So, hey, we need to talk about a few things here this morning, man. A lot of people are saying, hey, what's going on with Canelo? What's Canelo gonna do next? Is he making a mistake fighting Ryder? And really, what's next for him? And people are asking me, hey, when it comes to Gervonta Davis, what's next after jail? You know, is he gonna continue to box? Is he gonna quit boxing? Is jail gonna help his profile? You know, what's gonna happen? And then the whole thing about Oscar De La Hoya claiming to be the victim. When it comes to the crap that happened between him, Ryan Garcia, and Oscar De La Hoya coming out, making an excuse about, you know, death threats to his life. I mean, come on, man. That's complete and utter nonsense. You know what I'm saying? And if somebody is really trying to kill De La Hoya, I think they would have got to him already. You know what I mean? To me, he should have never done that. And then the last thing we're going to talk about here in this hour and a half is Tank Davis. And a lot of people are saying, look, man, Tank is the next. My damn eyes are tearing. Saying Tank Davis. Some people are saying that he's the face of boxing. Some people have told me already, Tank Davis is the same face he was before fighting Ryan Garcia. Meaning that they feel that Tank Davis was already the face of boxing. And for me, I don't think Tank Davis was the face of boxing. I don't think he's the face of boxing now. I think he's on his way. But Antonio Tarver said something that I thought was interesting. He described Tank Davis in the way he and Ryan Garcia fought as two guys basically having a knife fight and neither one wanting to make a mistake. And I think that fits perfectly to describe how Gervonta Davis can fight at times. But that doesn't necessarily make for the perfect type of outings that a fighter needs if they want to go on to be the face of boxing. I think the knife fight is cool at some points during a fight, but at the end of the day, there has to be a mash-up, crash-up. Now, what I mean by a mash-up, crash-up, what I mean by that is they need to just get in there and start letting their hands go. Because we can say all we want about guys who are boxers, guys who are very strategic, but for the most part, I think we'd all agree, everyone likes to see people get hit. They like to see Arturo Gatti, Mickey Ward. They like to see Maidana-type fighters. They like to see the brawlers. They like to see the Ruslan, Providnikovs. That's what people like to see. I think people appreciate more of the boxing purist. Tank Davis can be both, but he chooses to be more of a boxing purist. And I think if Tank Davis hasn't met his match to where he gets in the ring and he's going toe-to-toe with somebody, that's because most fighters can't take Tank Davis's power. But I think if Tank Davis found himself the right opponent who had a chin of steel and can take what Tank Davis is dishing out and then give it back to him. And then now we got to see, what does Tank Davis do? Is he going to elevate himself? That's something that we have not seen with Tank Davis. And we may never see that. Because Tank Davis, let me tell you, he has that kryptonite for everybody out there in the 130-pound division right up to, I say 130, 135-pound division. Hey, there's the rumors about Tank Davis knocking people out in sparring, heavyweights out in sparring, cruiserweights out in sparring. I don't know how true that is, but I do believe that although he's a smaller guy, if you can hit, you can hit. It doesn't matter. You see when these guys are hitting these punching machines, You see what Tank Davis racking stacks. He's right up there with a Deontay Wilder. But that being said, let's talk about Gervonta Davis after jail. Now, I'm going to go ahead and assume, right? I'm making an assumption now that Tank Davis is going to jail. We know Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia just had a fight. I'm not going to sit here and get back into that. But let's look forward. He's going to be sentenced, I believe it's in May, right? And more than likely, he's going to jail. Now, the thing is, what happens to him after jail? And what happens to him while he's in jail? Now, we don't know how long he's going to go in for. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not here to say anything about the car accident, the domestic violence issues. I'm not here to say I agree or disagree. But what I'm going to say is, when it comes to that judge, what's going on, Latham? I appreciate you joining the chat, man. He said it probably won't be more than 30 days, probably. I tend to agree with you that it's not going to be, I don't think, like a 6-month sentence. You know, I just don't think so. When I'm looking at Tank Davis, and at the end of the day, I really feel that that judge really wanted to nail him to the wall. She would have never allowed him to push the trial dates back. She would have never allowed him to push the sentencing dates back. She would have never allowed Tank Davis to go and have what is 2 fights, okay? But I do believe they want to satisfy the young lady who was pregnant and feels like Tank Davis doesn't deserve a tap on the wrist. He deserves more. So I think the judge, who's also a female, look, man, she's got to do the right thing. And just letting Tank Davis go without any sort of punishment, even to put him on unsupervised house arrest, that's just not going to be good enough. So Tank Davis is going to go to jail. But when he's in jail, let's say it's more than 30 days, you know, can his skills kind of erode over a 30-day period? I don't think so. A lot of these fighters in between fights, they don't go back in the gym for a while. Some of these guys are out of the gym, you know, 4 or 5 months, out of the ring a year. So I don't think a month hurts Tank Davis. Now, my concern would be Tank Davis mentally and what those 30 days can do to him. But once we start getting beyond 30 days, you know what I'm saying, Anthony? Once we start getting beyond 60 days, once we start looking at 3 months, then I become concerned for Tank Davis. And that's why I'm sitting back, man, and it's pretty intriguing to me to see what is this judge going to do. Anyone who says they know what the judge is going to do, no one knows. But we can sit here and kind of try to take a look at what's happened with other athletes. And in this case, let's just talk about Floyd Mayweather. We know there were the ups and downs, this whole thing about a domestic issue with the mother of his children. Floyd Mayweather had to do jail time. He wasn't in there very long, okay? He came out, continued his career, and we know what Floyd went on to do after he came out of jail. The thing is, for Tank Davis, when Floyd went into jail, he was already the biggest pay-per-view star. He was already the man. Tank Davis isn't quite there, but he's on that path. I personally think when Tank Davis gets out of jail, like you're saying, Latham, he's going to pursue that Pitbull rematch. But I think when Tank Davis gets out of jail, we're going to see his profile just explode, especially if he has to do like a 6-month sentence. I think the biggest concern for Tank Davis is going to be his mental. Let me tell y'all something, man. Jail is not fun. Jail is no place for a human being. You know what I'm saying? I've been to jail overnight once. And let me tell you something. And that was for being young and dumb. That shit's not normal, man. And maybe Tank Davis is cut from a different cloth from me to where he can go in there and he could handle being in jail overnight. Maybe he can handle being in jail a month. But I think once you start getting beyond 30s, 45 days, you start looking at 60, 90 days, 180 days, that's problematic, man. May 2nd is a sentencing. What's up, Chinchilla? Right. It's coming up. And I'm telling you, that stuff's not normal. So I'm very concerned about Tank. But if he gets through that and he comes out and he can pick off where he left off, there's gonna be such a high demand for people to watch Tank Davis. And I truly believe, especially if they're keeping his name on social media platforms, and during big boxing events, they're talking about Tank Davis. It's almost like they had this rap group called what was that, man? 50 Cent, and he had his little group, man, with Lloyd Banks and those guys, man. G Unit, right? But they had the one guy, Tony Yayo, go to jail. And every opportunity they had, they talked about Tony Yayo, free Tony Yayo. And when he came out, he just exploded. And to this day, he's still riding that wave. I think for Tank Davis, when he comes out of jail, while he's in jail, if they're sitting there pushing his name, I think when he comes out, his profile can be even bigger. And I definitely believe Tank Davis can get to that position of being the face of boxing a lot quicker had he not gone to jail. And I truly believe that. I think that's going to definitely add to his legacy. And I think it'll make a lot of people see him as being almost damn near immortal. But that being said, more to come on him. Now, once he gets out of jail, what does he do next? Latham's saying he's going to fight Pitbull. You know, we talked about that yesterday. I do believe that Tank Davis and his team want that Pitbull fight. But in addition to that, if that doesn't happen, the other two opponents, like we talked about, probably a Devin Haney and Frank Martin, but that's less than likely because the whole team wants Pitbull Cruz. Now let's be honest. Pitbull Cruz. Can Pitbull Cruz handle this Gervonta Davis? That's the question. And in addition to that, with Tank Davis, and since Antonio Tarver described his fighting style as a guy who's in a knife fight, is the knife fight approach to fighting, is that going to work for Tank Davis? Because Pitbull Cruz isn't going to sit there and get into no damn knife fight. Pitbull Cruz is coming in there, man, launching bombs. He's not bringing no knife to a fight. That man's bringing a rocket launcher. And if he does bring a knife, he's got a knife, he's got a stone, he's got a pipe, he's got a damn M16. Everything with him is just to destroy you. And Tank Davis, in my opinion, he may end up getting himself into a bit of a shootout. And I don't know if that fares well for Tank Davis. Latham says Devin should be the only fight, but they're saying Pitbull and Teal. Tank KOs him in a rematch. I think this right here, man, I agree. I think Devin should be the next fight for Tank. You know, why are you going to have the WBA, if Devin gets past Lomachenko, why are you going to have the WBA super champion running around here, and you got the WBA regular champion, and both of them, let's say they're both available to fight. Why wouldn't they push to make that fight? You see, I still don't understand that. I understand this super champion status, and I understand the super champion has a lot of flexibility, but when it comes to boxing, if they want to continue making the best fights, I don't think Tank versus Pitbull Cruz is the best fight to make. Tank Davis versus Devin Haney is the best fight to make. Even Tank versus Frank Martin, that's a great fight. That's an entertaining fight. But Tank versus Devin Haney is the fight to make. I actually think Tank versus Devin Haney is a bigger fight than Tank versus Shakur Stevenson. I'm not saying those aren't great fights, but the Devin Haney fight is for all the marbles. And that's the direction that I think Tank's team should go. But, man, we probably won't see that fight for a while. You know what I'm saying? But as far as Tank fighting Pitbull next and Tank KOing Pitbull in the rematch, I'll tell you this. Pitbull can be hurt. But the one thing about Pitbull that's unique when it comes to him and Tank Davis is we saw Tank Davis being the smaller fighter against Ryan Garcia, getting underneath all of Ryan's shots. That was something that Tank had never dealt with in a boxing match when he initially faced Pitbull Cruz. He was fighting somebody that was, significantly shorter than him. And when Tank was throwing shots, Pitbull Cruz was getting underneath his shots. And we know Tank was supposed to, I think his left hand was injured in that fight. So he couldn't let it go the way he wanted to. But he still won that fight. And I'm not biased to any fighter. Tank won that fight. When people are saying Pitbull Cruz beat Tank, Pitbull Cruz didn't beat Tank. That's all nonsense, man. What's going on, 818? That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So if Tank beat him with one arm, Tank with two arms, Tank beats Pitbull Cruz. Oh, hey, look, I like Pitbull Cruz. I think Pitbull Cruz tranquilizes a lot of guys from 130, maybe even at 140. But he's not tranquilizing Tank Davis, all right? So they can kill that noise. Chinchilla says, do you think we'll see Tank versus Shakur in the next 3 years? I think so. I do. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I think Tank Davis, to really grow his legacy, to really grow into being the face of boxing, which is the direction, I mean, they're forcing it down our throat, you know what I'm saying? Tank's the face of boxing, Tank's the face of boxing. The live gate performances are outstanding. But for me, Tank Davis should clean out that 135-pound division. And the thing is, I feel Tank will totally destroy everybody at 135. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying he's going to blow him out in the first round. What I'm saying is, when he goes into the phone booth and Tank comes out and he becomes, Superman, and he decides he wants to let his hands go, the fight changes, and then the fight ends. And I think at some point, it doesn't matter who he's fighting. Once he starts to land, the fight's going to end, and that's against anybody. I know Shakur Stevenson is a bad boy. Devin Haney's a bad boy. Devin Haney controls the distance really good. Frank Martin's really good. There's what's his name? Jermaine, the guy who fought Lomachenko. His name is Jermaine something, man. But even Tank fighting him, that guy's tough. I think Tank at some point he tranquilizes all of them, and I think if he cleans out that division the way I know he can, that would get Tank right up there where everybody's saying he is right now. But I don't think he's quite there yet, and I don't think he has a problem doing that. I don't. So yeah, I think Tank and Shakur happens. If Tank can fight 2 to 3 times a year, that fight happens probably before the end of 2024. But we got to see just how much time he's going to lose off the rest of 2023. See, that's everything is contingent on this crap with this sentencing, man. And I hope it's just a short stint in there, like we were talking about, like maybe 30 days. I really hope it's something like that. But if it's something more, then we may not see it until, like you said, maybe a 3-year period, 2025. Because Bob Arum's not going to be quick to keep throwing his guys at a non-top ranked fighter who he knows has the ability to tranquilize his fighters. And if Bob Arum's still around, even if he's not around, because he's up there in age, and no one has defeated Father Time, even the guys who are in position to continue managing and leading Top Rank, I think they understand boxing is the business, and you don't want to have Tank do to Top Rank 135-pounders like what Mayweather did to all of those Golden Boy fighters. And, Leonard Ellaby has no problem throwing that crap at Oscar De La Hoya's face. Latham says, Dev team went to the WBA and said, Tank team said nah. Yeah, I heard that, and I saw you when you said something about that yesterday. I just find that odd, man, that they pressed for the fight and Tank team said no. Sometimes I wish that fly on the wall could talk, but I don't have enough information on that to peel the layers back. What I do know is that it sounds like Tank's team wants to fight as well, but I'm just not sure what the sticking point is, what the impediment is in that. It shouldn't be that hard to make the fight, in my opinion, when they're both available. But I do know they both see themselves as the A side, and that's a problem. 818 says, yeah, what's going on, champ? Good morning. He says, they don't want to continue making great fights. They want to continue making the most money. I agree with you, man. It's crazy. All of these fights that can be made right now, and everybody is just out here just trying to hold off for the biggest fight purse. And the thing is, in doing that, I mean, to me, every month that goes by where a fighter, especially an elite fighter, moreover, a champion, right? Every month that goes by where they don't fight, that's like a barnacle clinging to them. You know what I'm saying? And I call them inactivity barnacles, just clinging to them. And at some point, when you're 6 months out the ring, 8 months out the ring, a year out the ring, that starts to wear you down. That inactivity starts to wear you down. And you can't expect to get in the ring after a year of inactivity and have this exemplary performance. Now, there are some guys like Earl Spence who has shown us that, hey, I can come back after an extremely violent car accident and do the unbelievable. But at the same time, he kind of had the right opponent in Danny Garcia. But that being said, there are some fighters who are the exceptions. But inactivity is a killer. And you got all these opportunities to make these great fights, and they're not making them. And that's from all the weight divisions. We shouldn't be sitting here watching like Morel the other day. That guy he fought, Yaguchi, whatever the hell his name was, the Brazilian, that fight should have never happened. And I think that guy was, they let him know about the fight. It was like a 1 month notice or 1 week notice, something crazy. He gets in the ring and he damn near gets killed. So they should make the fight. David Benavidez. Canelo should have fought more guys already. We know Canelo's been out here, very strategic. He fought champions. Canelo did a lot of great work. But you look at Demetrius Andre, you telling me nobody want to fight him still? You look at the Charlo boys, there's still fights that could have been made with those guys. Even Daniel Jacobs at a point in time, he had opportunities to make good fights. You got Edgar Berlanga out here right now. He's over there with Eddie Hearn. He's a good example of someone who the promoters are focusing on the business of boxing first before making the best fights for the fans. Because like you said, it's business, it's money. And it's ridiculous. And I honestly feel that we're going to see more fighters from all weight classes. I definitely feel more fighters from all weight classes are going to try to get on that circuit out there in the Middle East. I think they're going to try to get out there in the Middle East, and they're going to look for those fights. Because the guys in the Middle East, especially with the Skills Challenge promotion, they are now pushing to grow their brand and to sign more fighters. And if they're putting up big money, these fighters over here who can't get fights and who are free agents, they're going to go over there and they're going to fight. And I just think that's, if you pay attention and you look, the momentum is going that direction. Everything is, the push to the Middle East is it. But these stateside promoters, they want to go over there and put their hand in the cookie jar and get some of that money as well. But the thing is, the guys over in the Middle East, they're meeting them with resistance because they don't want the promoters. They don't want the managers. You know what I'm saying? They solely want the fighters. So the fighters are being put in a position to where they gotta make a decision. You know what I'm saying? Latham says they only want the right here. A Chinchilla says I agree. I think that's the one guy Tank team tries to keep him away from. Yeah, but why? Why would Tank? That's my thing. What happened in that sparring session? Now this is where I gotta be real. Let's say in fact that Tank's team is really trying to keep Tank away from Devin Haney, right? Let's say there's some truth to that. I don't know, but we'll just assume it's true. Why would Tank's team want to keep him away from Devin Haney? Now, just me with my lens, I'm looking at it and I'm not seeing any reason for Tank to let's say put duck sauce on the fried rice when it comes to Devin Haney. But what I will say is, even Adrian Broner said, Tank landed the big shot during the sparring session, but for the most part, outside of that, for the rest of the sparring session, Devin Haney ate Tank up. But he did add that Tank wasn't in the best shape. Tank was drinking alcohol. Tank had just got off a flight coming from Vegas. So he said, if that would have been a regular fight, they would not have had our 16-ounce gloves. He's like, one shot and it's over. In addition to that, Adrian Broner said if they were to fight, no kidding, in a professional fight, right now, with those 8-ounce gloves, he feels Tank Davis tranquilizes Devin Haney. But what I will say is, if there's truth to Tank ducking Devin Haney, maybe there's something that happened in that sparring session that hasn't been disclosed, but that Tank team knows. Maybe Devin Haney really, with those long arms, was really able to control the range, control the distance, get his shots off, move out of the way. And maybe Tank struggled to get inside in the proper distance and range to get his shots off. Because the one thing we know about Devin Haney and what we see in really good boxers, Keith Thurman was the same way. Those guys could box from the outside You know what I'm saying? And sit there from the outside and make their opponent look inadequate. And then once they make a decision, they can go mid-range and they can box and make their opponent look inadequate. Devin Haney can do that. And then once they get you preoccupied and get you a little frustrated, then they'll, just explode. Next thing you know, they're on the inside. You're getting hit with these short shots. And when you're ready to respond, they're already back out mid-range. And then if you come there, they're out to the outside, circling the ring, and just, for the most part, showing great ring generalship. So I'm telling you, I think Devin Haney has the focus, has the discipline to fight a smart fight, control the distance and range, and make the fight extremely difficult for Gervonta Davis. Because just like Gervonta Davis, when it comes to Devin Haney doesn't worry about the crowd. Devin Haney's not worried about coming in there and having a shootout with any fighter. He learned his lesson. He got caught. See, Devin Haney already been through this crap. You guys remember, Devin Haney was worried about everybody talking about he doesn't have any power, he can't knock people out, he's a boring fighter. So what did he do? He decided he was going to do like Mayweather did with Canelo, and Mayweather's father almost lost his brain in the corner, telling him, stop fighting him, you can box him easy. But Mayweather got banged up in that Canelo fight trying to prove a point that he wants to entertain the crowd. Devin Haney tried that shit with Linares. He decided to stay in the pocket a little bit longer than he should have. He got touched up. He tried that shit with Jojo Diaz. Got touched up. Learned his lesson. So he moving forward, he sat there and he fought Kambosos, did what he had to do in both fights. Now, after those Kambosos fights, Devin Haney's about to fight Lomachenko. Lomachenko is a special fighter. But we're going to see if Devin Haney can still remain disciplined and control Lomachenko and make the fight easy. If he does that, then that's a huge problem for a guy like Tank Davis. Because Lomachenko is, even at his age, right? Let's not talk about him being an old man. He's still explosive. He still uses great angles. And Lomachenko is a slick, slippery southpaw. And he has the pedigree and experience to nullify anything that Devin Haney tries to do. But if he can't do it, that speaks volumes about Devin Haney. And especially if he can do it with Lomachenko, who, like Gervonta Davis, is a southpaw, who's slick, who's explosive. But Gervonta Davis is way more explosive power-wise than Lomachenko. 818 says, speaking of the Middle East, my oldest daughter is fighting in Abu Dhabi, combat, May 2023. Desert Duels. Okay, that's cool, man. And it's like the Olympics for MMA. That's outstanding. Money is so big, the terrorists don't want to attack. That was the next concern. But I agree with what you're saying. I do. You know, there's so much going on out there in the Middle East. There's so much money out there. You know, I was out there. I was deployed out there, man, I was deployed to Saudi Arabia, man. And I was deployed out to Saudi Arabia for 5 months. And I was out there as a third country national escort. But when I was there, you know, we weren't able to just go outside of the compound we were on and just walk around and hang out. Like, you know, that's just wasn't going to happen. You know what I'm saying? But what I will tell you is when I was there and talking to some of the workers on base and meeting people, there's so much money out there in the Middle East, especially Saudi Arabia, but the whole Middle East. There's so much money. You look at what's going on with Skills Challenge Promotions and how they're bringing race, what's that called? NASCAR out there, the Formula One out there, golfing out there. They're bringing tennis out there. They're trying to come out there now with rugby. They got boxing. They're trying to bring all sports to the Middle East and create events out there. Now, we know why they're doing that. Is one, they have the money, and they definitely want people to see them in a different space. But you got this prince, I think his name is Khalid, right? You got Derek Chisora in a certain position to help grow boxing and sports as a whole. And then he's got Amir Abdallah, who's there as well as the president of everything to make sure the operations run proper. But I think there's going to be more and more fighters going out there. And I have a weird feeling, and you guys could tell me if you think I'm wrong, But when it comes to Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, right? We know the Middle East has been going, like, yeah, there you go, Chinchilla. I was just about to say that. You know, the UFC and just MMA fighters as a whole and events, they've been happening out there in the Middle East for quite some time. But I'm going to tell you something. This Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence thing, the more we sit here in this holding pattern, the more I have a feeling they may be trying to make that fight. They probably have a placeholder here stateside, but may really be trying to figure out how they can have that fight over there. When you're talking about the money, since boxing is a business, right? Nobody wants to fight for peanuts anymore because, hell, $5 million, that's peanuts compared to what these guys are making when they're out there, when they see what guys are fighting out for in the Middle East. But I wouldn't be surprised if a conversation comes up or something gets leaked in the next couple weeks about the potential of having that fight later this year. But I haven't heard anything like that, but I'm just paying attention. If Terrence Crawford wants big money, but Showtime can't give it to him, Haney can't give it to him, they don't feel the pay-per-view numbers will generate the kind of revenue to where they can give Crawford the money he wants. If Errol Spence wants big money, because it's both of them, right? Stephen Espinoza said both fighters have unrealistic financial expectations. So I can't see the point we're at now with those two, that their financial expectations becoming realistic over the last 6 months. The only place these guys could go to get the kind of money they want is over there in the Middle East. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if something comes out in the next couple of weeks about the potential of that fight happening before the end of the year. Remember, they're building that stadium out there in the Middle East. There are guys that keep hinting at huge fights that are getting ready to take place. They won't give us the specifics, they're like teasing us, but they're saying people are going to be shocked. I heard Derek Chisora say this. People are going to be shocked at which fighters they bring over there to fight and the kind of money they're going to make. And what got my attention, he said, and we're not just talking about the heavyweights. So, of course, you know, my brain started racing. And I said, if they're doing that, I'll tell you what, he may be suggesting that Crawford and Spence could end up in the Middle East. But nobody's really divulging, you know, what exactly is taking place. They're just saying it's going to be big events. But, hey, take that with a grain of salt. Chinchilla says Devin has to go to 140 after Loma. He may not make it to 135. Devin Haney's going. If Devin Haney doesn't go to 140, I think Devin Haney's going to end up with some serious kidney issues, heart problems, significant health issues, man. You can't keep killing yourself to get down to a weight that you should not be at all. You shouldn't be there. And the one thing that I just learned this the other day. When guys are rehydrating, I honestly didn't know this. I know when guys dehydrate themselves, there's a lot of fluid that surrounds the brain, protects the brain. A lot of that fluid, right, it's compromised. I knew that. But I didn't know when these fighters are rehydrating, especially when you have the rehydration clause and they can't go above a certain amount in regards to their weight. I didn't know the last part of the body to actually rehydrate to get get that fluid around the organs is the brain. I didn't know that. I heard Ryan Garcia's dad say that. Now I didn't, it's this thing called trust but verify. I didn't go and do my research to verify it, but I said, if that's true, and since we're talking about Devin Haney, that's extremely dangerous. But what we do know about Devin Haney is Devin Haney rehydrates, and he rehydrates to more than 146 pounds. But him continuing to fight at 135, there's no need. Devin Haney's what, 5'8"? Ryan Garcia's 5'8", 5'9". You look at guys who are 5'8", 5'9". They're fighting they could easily fight 147, 154, maybe even 160. They have the height, they have the frame to fight at those heavier weights. So the weight bullions, enough of that's been done at 135. Killing yourself, coming out there, barely being able to get on the scale. I mean, those days are over. You know what I'm saying? There's no need to end up now having irreversible damage. And I just think that's the direction they're going. If Devin Haney continues fighting at 135, I think Devin Haney's going to have irreversible damage to his kidneys, to his organs, and then there's no more fighting at all. So just go ahead and bubble on up to 140 and see what kind of noise you can make. But they got killers at 142. Chinchilla says, UFC been doing shows out there for years. Absolutely. 818 says, Kuwait is totally different than the 90s and 2000s. Back then, it was a combat zone. Hazard pay, yeah, no doubt. Today is more of a tourist location, like Mexico, and just as dangerous, but not open warfare on public. Yeah, there's a lot. It takes weeks. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. If you're not involved in the wrongdoings, for the most part, you don't have nothing to worry about in those countries. And it's like that mostly anywhere you go. But you still got to have a certain amount, like you're saying, certain amount of vigilance, and just be smart. You know what I'm saying? Don't go places you don't belong. You see these guys wandering around, wanting to go explore and sightsee. Nah, don't do that. If you're going to a tourist resort, stay there. If you want to venture off, know the people who are taking you where you're going and make sure they're from there. Then you kind of get a pass. But at the end of the day, like you said, they should be okay. But I think more and more events are going to take place. Canelo has a big event out there in Mexico. Ryder's team was very concerned about going to Mexico and fighting in Mexico because of all the craziness that's happening out there with the cartels. But someone who's from Mexico who posted in one of the comments on that video I did, they tried to explain to me that when it comes to those cartels, they don't mess with people. And they said that people love Canelo so much in Mexico that, let's say somebody was to do something, an act of violence, and disrupt the event, they said that those cartels, they would come together and find that individual or their family, and they said they would just, violently execute everybody who's related to that individual. So it makes me feel like people should be safe. These boxers should be safe wherever they go, at least in Mexico. 818 says it takes weeks to get brain juice back to prevent concussions. Yeah, that's what I heard. He says, hell no, don't ever venture off. Nah, hell no, man. Chinchilla says, Teofimo versus Taylor. Hey, I'm going to tell you right now, Teofimo, I don't think Teofimo, I think he's hit his ceiling, man. I think Teofimo's best days, his best two fights were Comey and Lomachenko. That's it. And I'm going to tell you why. The reason why I don't think Teofimo is going to go any further in the sport of boxing, as far as to that elite level and becoming a champion, I'm going to tell you why. Because he no longer has Joey Gamache. And I'm just being honest with you. He does not have Joey Gamache. Now, if he still had Joey Gamache, then, then we'd have something to talk about. But he doesn't have Joey Gamache anymore. Joey Gamache was the reason why Teofimo Lopez was able to devise an excellent game plan against Comey. See, a lot of people, when people are just sitting back saying, man, Teofimo Lopez has fallen off. He doesn't look as good as he did against Lomachenko and against Comey. What happened when he stepped up to Kambosos? Well, I'm telling you what happened. Because that whole purse bid crap with Triller, right? Triller won the purse bid. Top Rank didn't win it. What happens when Top Rank wins, normally when Top Rank wins the purse bid, right? Top Rank would afford an allowance for Teofimo's team to pay for the trainer. And in this case, we're talking about Gamache. But because Top Rank didn't win the purse bid, that allowance wasn't there. So instead of Teofimo's dad saying, you know what, let's just go ahead and pay Gamache, they chose not to pay him. And they chose to part ways. It was, they agreed. There was no fallout or anything. They chose not to pay Gamache. And as a result, it was just Teofimo's dad trying to set his son up for that fight with Kambosos. But I'm going to tell you what happened is they underestimated Kambosos. And he went in there and he got beat. And he got beat hands down every single round, except for the one where he touched him. But you look at the advice that Teofimo's dad was giving him. He was just telling him in that fight, go in there and kick his ass. Like that's what he was telling him. Go in and kick his ass. Because his father couldn't articulate to Teofimo what he needed to know to get the advantage in that fight. Joey Gamache could have. And you know why Joey Gamache could have? Because Joey Gamache had over 50-something professional fights. Joey Gamache was a two-time champion at two different weight classes, I believe. And Joey Gamache, for those of you who don't know who he is, you guys have all seen that highlight of Arturo Gatti stepping back, throwing an uppercut, right hook, left hook, and knocking that opponent out cold. That's Joey Gamache. But that being said, outside of that fight with Arturo Gatti, Gamache ended his career. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like 50 plus fights. I think less than 6 losses. So Joey Gamache is a good fighter. But Teofimo Lopez, his pops is, I'm not saying he should leave his dad, but they need to bring Gamache back. And I think if he does that, I think Teofimo has a good chance at 140 pounds and possibly picking up a title. I just don't think he does it against Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor is a special fighter. And Teofimo, I just don't think he has what it takes to outbox, outclass, outperform, and take that WBO strap off of Taylor at all. Latham says, Teo needs to do like Berlanga, bring back his old trainer. Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. Yeah, bring Gamache back. What are we doing? I don't understand why these fighters bounce from trainer to trainer to trainer to trainer. Every time you go to a new trainer, or when you go to a new trainer, or you get rid of a trainer who was the sole strategy planner, right? If this was a person who was solely planning your strategy for the fights, and you get rid of him, you don't bring on anyone else. You just expect for the assistant trainer and the other guys on your team to now fill in and do this job that they're not accustomed to doing, and to do it effectively. Well, I mean, man, you're rolling the dice. You know what's a good example of that? Is Miguel Cotto. Him and his uncle had that fallout. Remember, his uncle threw that damn brick through Miguel Cotto's the window of his Jaguar. What Miguel Cotto do? He had an assistant trainer. Yeah, it's like starting all over. Absolutely. He had an assistant trainer, which was his friend. And that's the guy that took him into, I believe it was the Austin Trout fight. And Austin Trout, he outboxed Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto looked lost in there. And he ended up, I don't know if it was a title on the line. But anyway, he lost. Then he went into the damn fight with Margarito. And we know what happened in that fight. But maybe if he would have had his uncle, Margarito still would have cheated. But maybe Cotto, maybe he wouldn't have taken as much damage. You know what I'm saying? That was basically Cotto in that ring using his own talent, his own experience, his own intelligence, his own awareness to try to survive and outbox Margarito. He had no help coming from his corner. No help. All they were saying is, we're here with you. We're here with you. What Miguel Cotto went into in that fight is like what I feel Teofimo Lopez is going into in this Taylor fight, is what Ryan Garcia just went into against Tank. You got Joe Goulston over there, who basically wasn't really telling him much of anything. And Ryan was just in there, hot winging it. And that's just bad medicine. So yeah, Teofimo Lopez needs to bring back Joey Gamache. Chinchilla says, I'm actually shocked Teofimo hasn't brought Gamache back to this fight. I don't know what the issue is, man. Maybe it's pride. Teofimo's getting an opportunity. He's getting a huge opportunity for a WBO strap against a huge name in Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor was the undisputed champion at 140 pounds. If Teofimo beats him decisively, you got to say Teofimo is the man. Now, true, he didn't beat Regis Prograis. Teofimo, he's not out there, fighting Matias and all those other guys. But if he beats Josh Taylor, it's kind of like Kambosos beating Teofimo. It's like Teofimo beating Lomachenko. He became the man. Kambosos beating Teofimo. He became the man. Devin Haney beating Kambosos. He became the man. you gotta give him some credit for that. You know what I'm saying? It's the same. That's why he should bring Gamache back. It's the same thing like with Berlanga. Berlanga knows he's working towards the biggest fight of his career. The biggest fight of his career. He didn't play around. He said, you know what? I'm paying my money to my old trainer. This is the person that got me to this point. I left him. I haven't looked that great. I'm back with him. Let's make sure we give ourselves the best chance on winning. And that's what you're supposed to do. But Teofimo, I don't know what's going on over there, man. I'm actually, Latham says Chinchilla, his dad cussed him out, that's why they fell off. You know, Gamache, I saw Gamache do an interview where he said there was no bad blood. He said they just, he's happy to work with them. They just have to reach out to him, and he's still happy to work with him. So if Teofimo Sr. cussed out Gamache, I mean, that's my first time hearing about that, but maybe I missed something. That could have something to do with it as well. But I saw an interview where Gamache said there was no bad blood. But maybe something happened after that interview. Latham says they got big-headed after Loma and started treating Gamache different. Oh, okay. I know they got big-headed after Loma. They lost their damn minds. They were out there talking like, you know, they took it to the stupid. Like he was the king and everyone else was peasants. He acted the fool, man. 818 says, like a chessboard, trainer sees fights different from different angles, different perspectives. The corner is key for navigating the maze from above as opposed to going through the maze. Yeah, absolutely, man. I agree with you 100%. You know what I'm saying? You know, strategizing, we just talked about this last night. I just finished this course, and we were talking about having explicit knowledge and then having tacit knowledge, and how it's important for, like in this case, right, the trainer who enjoyed Gamache's case has tacit and explicit knowledge when it comes to fighting. He has the hands-on, he's been there, he's done that. He has the explicit because he's been a trainer for a lot of years at the highest levels, putting together game plans, and he's been doing that even before he retired from boxing. So now he's coming, and there's so much that they can learn from him. But like you said, he's out here seeing all these different angles, all these different perspectives. You got the guys in the corner who they're used to seeing that too, but they're used to seeing that based on what the trainer identified. Now the trainer's gone. So where these guys are there more trying to navigate the maze, now they're trying to actually see the different angles and perspectives while navigating at the same time, but they don't have that explicit knowledge. And I'm going to say that about Teofimo Sr. because he's never once put on a pair of gloves. And even with these content creators, we're talking about YouTube now. If someone's never ever put on a pair of gloves, never got in the ring, and even sparred, their knowledge is limited. I don't care who they are. They can't come out here and intelligently speak about what it feels like to be in the ring because they've never done it. You know, I like a lot of you all, I've done this shit. So, you know, I can talk about it. Now, I'm not at all going to sit here and say I can intelligently articulate things like a guy like Zab Judah, Paulie Malignaggi, and, you know, Shane Mosley, guys who fought on a level that, and I didn't do nothing like that. It's an amateur guy, fought amateur fights and smokers. But what I'm saying is I can still talk to it to a certain point because I've been there. I've hit people I've been hit. I've had a lot of trainers I've worked with, you know, from traveling around all over the place. But I agree 100%. The trainer is important. He says, how do I see Taylor versus Teofimo, man? I think Taylor's just going to outbox him. I think Taylor may even drop him. I'm serious. I do. I just don't see Teofimo going to. This is a good example of a fight. Now, this is what I predict. I think we're going to see someone control the range so impressively, and he's going to make Teofimo look inadequate. Yeah, sounds like stomping in the background. Over here? Hold on 1 second. I just turned the fan off. I don't know if you heard stomping, man. But I think Josh Taylor is going to control the distance. He's just going to box, and then when he's ready, he's going to drop the big. I think he's orthodox. He's gonna drop the big right hand on him. I think Josh Taylor's right-handed, man. But anyway, he's gonna hit him with that backhand, and I just think he's gonna frustrate Teofimo. His dad's not gonna know what to tell him, and Teofimo's gonna sit there, man, and get embarrassed. I think Teofimo will quit if Josh Taylor keeps this fight simple. He doesn't turn into a gunfight. He just fights like we're talking about, from the outside, mid-range, and he lets his shots go. I think Teofimo Lopez gets frustrated and he quits. All those antics he shows in the ring when he's getting beat and doing all this craziness like Zab Judah against Mayweather, that does nothing. It's like, when you're watching a guy play basketball, they like to look good missing. All that fancy shit, and they can't score 2 points. That's what I think is gonna happen with Teofimo Lopez. Skills pay the bills, man, and it is what it is. So it would look like Taylor versus Ramirez. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it's gonna look like, man. You got Taylor by decision. Yeah, I got Taylor by decision. I haven't seen many people who are out here saying they feel Teofimo Lopez can beat Josh Taylor. Not many people are saying that. Bob Arum worked it out so Teofimo can get himself get a foot in the door and to try to pick up a belt. But I'll tell you this. The secret society is real. You know I'm always talking about that. You look how Teofimo went up to 140. And he had a couple lackluster performances. All of a sudden, he's fighting for a belt. Now you tell me how he was able to leapfrog all those fighters who are out there and get himself in position to fight for a belt at 140. That's all I'm saying. Somebody tell me how he was able to do that. Because when we take a look at it, I'm going to show y'all what I'm looking at right now. Y'all tell me, right? I'm going to pull it up. You guys tell me how the hell he was able to leapfrog these guys. Let me see if I can pull that up for you. Okay. Y'all see what I'm looking at right here? Let me expand this for you. Just looking at this, Russell's been out there putting work in. Zepeda's been putting work in. We know him and Regis has had a little up and down. Prograde's out here. He got a belt. He's been wanting the Josh Taylor rematch. Matias out here wants to fight. Catero's out here. Looks like he's going to be fighting soon. But you look at where Lopez is, right? But you tell me, when you come down here and start looking at the rack stack, how the hell is Teofimo Lopez bubble up above in the WBO column, right? How Teofimo Lopez all of a sudden in the number one position? You know what I mean? It's not like he had the WBO belt and exercised super champion status from 135 to go up and directly challenge Josh Taylor at 140 for the WBO strap. Teofimo Lopez somehow bubbled all the way up to the number one position after 2 fights, lackluster fights, at 140 pounds. You got Paro, you got Ramirez, Ergashev, Barbosa Jr. You got so many fighters here who, in my opinion, deserve an opportunity. And I think, even Russell deserves an opportunity as well. But when you look at that, I'm just telling you, it's crazy to me how they do that. But hey, it's politics, man. It is what it is. Latham says, I think Teal will try to be aggressive and overextend, and Taylor just going to counter and pick shots. Man, I agree with you 100%. That's what he's going to have to do. He's going to sit back, find that he's getting himself outboxed, and he's going to start to get anxious. And that's going to play right into the hands of Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor can fight, man. He can really, really fight. When Josh Taylor, when he won all the belts, and he to get that undisputed distinction, and before that, when he beat Regis Prograis, that showed me a whole lot about Josh Taylor. He can fight, man, and he's got that dog in him too. Latham says, that's how boxing works. They do extra for guys they think are profitable. Yeah, he does have a huge profile. He's profitable. He's marketable. He's got a big name. He's doing commercials and stuff. You're absolutely correct. It just shows you how that boxing works and how the politics comes into play. Guy that work and put it in hardly when they get it. Yeah, that's crazy. If your effort is greater, your reward should be greater. But and when it works out that way, hey, everybody's happy, right? But when your effort is greater and your reward is less than other people's, then what happens? People are pissed off. People are angry. And, it's very discouraging. I have a friend. He's from Nigeria. And he boxed for the Nigeria in the Olympics. He trained the Nigerian Olympic team. And he's here. And I know him. His sons and my sons are playing on the same AAU basketball team. And he told me about his experience when it comes to the politics of boxing and just trying to get fights, not getting fights, being overlooked because opponents were scared to fight him. And he said it's a very tough business. But that kind of ties into what we're talking about, where a guy like Fuma Lopez is getting opportunities over somebody like my buddy who's Nigerian, who's a professional and is more deserving, but people are just like, nah, he doesn't bring much to the table. He's a threat, and they're just going to overlook him. And he after a few years, he just quit boxing because he couldn't get fights. He said he would train hard, and he said there were a few times where he trained hard and showed up in a certain, whatever state it was for the fight. He showed up in the city, and he's in the locker room, and then the promoter comes and say, hey, your opponent didn't show up. He no-showed again. And they would just give him a check. Say, you showed up, here's your check. And he said he hated that because he didn't like the fact that he didn't get a chance to come and fight after putting in all those months of hard work, even though he got paid. So I understand it happens, man. It says, Antoine turned down a shot, though, against Puello. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, man. Maybe that was the best thing that ever happened to Antoine Russell, because you look at Puello, El Pollo Loco, right? The fact that this fool was out there taking some kind of peds. Matter of fact, you guys know what ped he was taking, right? Pollo Loco was taking clomiphene. He was taking the same ped that Conor Haney was taking. So that clomiphene, they can say what you want. And also, what's his name? Brock Lesnar was popped for taking clomiphene. So Pollo Loco was taking the same damn craziness that Conor Haney was taking. Isn't that crazy? Now, what I don't know, and this is what I think is so interesting, is what I would like to know is just these fighters, right? Which of these fighters are working with the Contis, Heredias, the Arizas, you know what I'm saying, the Dr. Usman Sajads? I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of them who work with those guys. You just don't know about it. But I'm telling you, there are a lot of. I didn't realize Yugas had been working with Heredia for years. I didn't know that. Makes you wonder about your Danish Yugas too. But it says Catterall defeated Taylor, but there should be more output to be sure. Yeah. I know Catterall was handling himself in that ring, but it's like they say in boxing, man. Check this out. You lose your right to complain, man, when you don't knock somebody out. I just watched Antonio Tarver talking this morning, and good examples, him and Roy Jones Jr. in that first fight. You look at that first fight, man, a lot of people felt Tarver won. Some people felt Roy Jones did enough to win the fight. But Tarver in that second fight, what did he tell Roy Jones? You got any excuses now, Roy? And then he went out there and handled business. So it is what it is. Latham says, Antoine said Puello is under me, like he has a belt. Yeah, I think it's a good thing that he didn't fight him now, but yeah, he's in no position to be out here ducking fighters. But for Canelo Alvarez, man, what do you guys think's next for Canelo? Because he should get past this guy, Ryder. But when you look at Canelo Alvarez, right, we know that he wants Bivol. But I think it's absolutely foolish for Canelo Alvarez to be going into a fight with Bivol. Look, the man beat Canelo. He beat him silly in the ring. And is impossible for Canelo, who's 58-2, right? It's impossible for Canelo to beat Bivol. Why in the world is Canelo still chasing after Bivol? Like, that's my question. Why in the world is he still chasing after Bivol? Now, when you look at Canelo Alvarez, you look at what he has available to him at 168. Now, Canelo Alvarez, in case you didn't know, this man is the undisputed champion at 168 pounds. But I can't understand why he's out here instead of fighting Benavidez or fighting Morrell, right? Hell, let's take a look at the rack and stack here. Fight Andre. You know, that's a winnable fight for Canelo. And I don't care what anyone says. Canelo versus Alvarez, I think that's a big money fight. Look at what Canelo versus Alvarez. Canelo versus Andre. Look at where Andre is in the rack and stack. Demetrius Andrade under the WBO. If Canelo clips Ryder, Demetrius Andrade is ranked #1. What are we talking about here? You come over to the far right column and you look at the WBA. Demetrius Andrade is ranked #1, but you got Morrell there. So realistically, Morrell should be getting busy with Alvarez, or Morrell and Andre could bang. But then you come over here to the right next to the WBC column, you got David Benavidez. We know Canelo Alvarez doesn't want nothing to do with Benavidez or Morrell. So then you got Mbili, Bazignan, Akhmedov. He already fought Plant. That ain't happening. Then you got Andrade again. And then you come over here and you look at the IBF. You got Skull, Shishkin, you got Berlanga. Look at where Berlanga is. He's bubbling up. Then you got Idigov, Akhmedov's name again, Ivanov, Heffron. And they don't even have, that's what sucks about it. They don't even have Demetrius Andrade ranked in the IBF. But what I'm getting at is, for a guy like Canelo Alvarez, why sit here and chase after Bivol when you know you're not going to win? And I personally think there's more money in a fight with Benavidez. I truly believe that. Now, you guys tell me what you think, but I think Canelo against Benavidez, I think there's more money in that. I think there's more money in that. Then, matter of fact, then when you start looking at this right here, right? When you start looking at bubbling up to 175 pounds, if Canelo really wants to hang around at 175, he's not beat. If Beterbiev and Bivol fight, and whoever becomes undisputed, if Canelo wants to try for undisputed at 175 again, he can't beat Bivol, and he sure as hell ain't beating Beterbiev. So Canelo really, because he can get down to 160, hey man, you got some good opportunities down at 160. You know what I'm saying? You got Jamal Charlo. He already fought Lara. You got Adames. And these guys at 160 have no problem bubbling up to fight Canelo at 168. You got Munguia fighting Mexico. Fight Munguia in Mexico. So what I'm getting at is, when it comes to Canelo Alvarez, who's the man at 168, I just think he should steer clear of that 175-pound division and focus more on that 168, in my opinion, man. Focus on 168 or 160. Leave those guys at 175 alone. He's going to get himself hurt. And I truly believe that. He's going to get himself hurt. It was supposed to be, yeah, but look how it looked. Oh, here it goes right here. It was supposed to be Puyo versus Antoine, then Rolly fight the winner. That was the plan. Really, Rolly was going to fight Barrasso. Yeah, well, and look how it all worked out. It worked out the way it was originally planned. And I'm telling y'all right now, Rolly Romero's about to become champion. I'm telling y'all right now, Rolly Romero's about to clip that guy. We're talking about Rolly Romero and where he is. This guy, Barroso, he doesn't. I don't think he stands a chance. Let me pull up something on this guy. This guy Barroso. I can't click on his link, but he doesn't stand a chance against Rolly Romero. Rolly Romero's about to become a champion. He'd be, I think, a two-time champion, man. He's about to become a two-time champion, man. That's crazy. Right here, I think he'll push for Bivol. Actually, he don't want to see the Davids. Yeah, he's pushing for Bivol. They were talking about it just yesterday. But the thing is, even for Bivol, they've kind of positioned Bivol to where he almost has to take that fight. And that's what's crazy. They're not giving that man an opportunity to fight Bernabeev. You know, they're making it to where his inactivity is driving him towards taking the Canelo fight, and the fact that the damn WBC doesn't want to allow him to fight for the WBC strap at 175, but they'll let him fight for it at 168, which is, you know, complete madness. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, he'd rather lose to Bivol. Latham says he'd rather lose to Bivol than a fellow Latino. You know, people keep saying that, but I don't know why. I don't know why they say that. It's like people saying Tank Davis is scared to fight a black fighter. I honestly don't know why they say that, man. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think Canelo really, in his mind. Well, we know Canelo was injured. I saw the video. It looked like Canelo was injured. His hand putting on the gloves. But you remember when Manny Pacquiao supposedly, there was a fight he went into, I think it was a Floyd fight, where Manny Pacquiao started saying he was having problems with his shoulders, right? And then there was this big investigation after, because there are certain documents you're supposed to sign about after the physical's done and about your health. And Pacquiao didn't disclose any of that. And there was a huge investigation, potential fines coming down. So for Canelo to go into a fight knowing there were problems with his hands, where was the investigation? Where are the fines for Canelo? You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm getting at. And then we know immediately after the fight he had to go and, you know, have surgery done. But that's all I'm getting at. You know what I mean? Absolutely crazy. I'll pick him up at Langley. I got somebody send me a text. But that being said, man, we'll see what Canelo does. He's gonna beat Ryder, and then he'll lose to Bivol, and then fight Berlanga. Yeah, I agree 100%. I think that's exactly how it's gonna play out. But I'm gonna tell you something else too. If Berlanga gets past Pacheco, I was just about to say that. It's funny that you guys said that. I was just about to say that. We gotta be real about what's going on at 168 pounds. We gotta be very, very real about 168. Where is his name at? I'm looking for it right now. Okay, I'm gonna pull this up again. We gotta be very real about this. I'm gonna expand this for y'all so y'all can see. Y'all see this guy here, number 11 under the IBF column? Y'all see that Diego Pacheco? Let me tell you something. Diego Pacheco could mess up all of the plans for Berlanga. I'm telling you right now, Diego Pacheco could mess up all of the plans for this damn Edgar Berlanga. I'm just letting y'all know it right now. And when we look at this, right, what's a bigger fight? Mexico versus Mexico, Puerto Rico versus Mexico. Of course, Puerto Rico versus Mexico. But when you take a look at Eddie Hearn, and Eddie Hearn trying to build Edgar Berlanga and build that fight between him and Canelo, nobody wants to see Canelo fight Berlanga right now. Nobody cares that it's Mexico versus Puerto Rico. You know why? Because right now everybody feels Canelo would tranquilize Berlanga. But when you look at the fact that Berlanga has a fight coming up, if he gets past that opponent, let's say Edgar Berlanga's next fight is, if you look over here in the WBO column, Pacheco's ranked number 3. Berlanga's ranked number 5. If he fights Pacheco next, and he beats Pacheco, but not just beats him, he knocks him out, then Edgar Berlanga would have had 2 fights under Matchroom. In his second fight, he knocks out a Mexican-American knockout artist who stands 6'5", right? If Berlanga can do the business against Pacheco, and we know Pacheco's out there fighting with the Benavides team. Pacheco's out there getting them Heredia cocktails. Edgar Berlanga, I think, will be in over his head, messing around with Diego Pacheco. But if he beats Pacheco, then now you have a Puerto Rican fighter who destroys a, they're just going to put it as a Mexican. They're not even going to say American. Who destroys a Mexican. Now you have the storyline you need to go into Berlanga and Canelo Alvarez. Now you've got it. You know what I'm saying? And I really feel that just makes everything easier. Even when they're showing the highlights from the last fights, they can have the Mexican flag waving, showing Berlanga, the Puerto Rican, coming in and destroying the Mexican. Like, they can really build it up and hype it up. But if he gets in there and he goes the distance with him, I'm telling you, there's not going to be a demand for it. There's not going to be a demand for it. Berlanga, to me, Tom Cruise Mission Impossible. He's on an impossible mission. And I'm being honest with you. Because Berlanga has to somehow, with the help of Eddie Hearn, create this demand that's greater than Canelo fighting Benavidez or Canelo fighting Morrell. He has to create a demand for the fans to say, nope, Canelo shouldn't fight Benavidez. He should be fighting Berlanga. You tell me, how in the world is he going to do that? I think it's impossible. I'm being honest with you. I think it's impossible for Berlanga at this moment in time, and even over the next year, to create a demand from the fans for him and Canelo to get in the ring. It's not going to happen. The demand right now for Canelo is for Canelo to fight David Benavidez. But I tell you what, David Benavidez and Morrell, they're supposed to be squaring off, man. And I'm going to be quite frank with you. I think that's a truly a 50-50 fight. Morrell and Berlanga is a 50-50 fight. They're both aggressive. They both can fight. Morrell comes out faster. That's why in the first 6 rounds, I give Morrell the advantage. He's going to come out faster. He's going to let his hands go. But David Benavidez, we know that, you know, he's durable. He's got a chin. And after round 5 or 6, he just starts to pick it up. But depending on how that goes, we may not get the damn Canelo versus David Benavidez fight, especially if Morrell beats him. Well, then now you got Mexico versus Cuba, which I think is still a good fight. So at the end of the day, for Canelo Alvarez, he's got some very good. Hey, I appreciate it, man. Hey, what's up, Kevin Knight? He's got some very good options. Now, I'm letting you guys know right now, in 30 minutes, I got to jump off. So we got 30 more minutes of talking about anything. So as I'm talking, you could just type something in the comments, and we can talk about the things you guys truly want to talk about. But in 30 minutes, I got to go to my son's school, so we got a half an hour to talk about anything. But at the end of the day, Canelo, he got the Mexican flag he can go against David Benavidez. He got the damn Cuban flag he can go against Morrell. And he got the Puerto Rico flag he can go against Edgar Berlanga. So it is what it is. Kevin Knight says, I like Morrell just off the cuff. I like Morrell, man. Young, strong, fearless, combination punching, superpower, and he's vicious. You saw what he did to that guy, what's that guy's name? Yagaguchi, whatever the hell his name was this weekend. He tried to tell the referee, like, hey, this guy's hurt. And the referee, that referee need to be fired, man. He let that guy get tranquilized for no reason. And then Morrell did what he was supposed to do, man. He went over there and knocked that guy out cold. But I blame the referee for that shit, man. It should have never, ever got to that point. But that guy had more heart than goddamn Ryan Garcia. I tell you that. I get people, I had a couple of people kind of, take a few shots at me saying that I'm being unfair to Ryan Garcia because I said Ryan Garcia quit. And I had to tell him, I didn't say he quit. He said he quit. You know what I mean? Latham says if Benavidez can get Canelo, if so, I like Morrell. In my opinion, he's the best at 168. Yeah, I agree. Do I think Wood can bounce back versus Lara? Man. I think Wood can. Man. He just has to remain disciplined. You know what I'm saying? He was winning the fight. But obviously, Lara has something in his damn hands. You know what I mean? Like, that guy has... These are smaller fighters, but, that Lara Wood fight was good. But I think Wood can bounce back, and he can win. He just has to remain disciplined, but that's what happens when you want to get into a shootout. When you want to go out there and get into a shootout, you want to get into a mash-up, crash-up, that's what happens. Someone's going to get mashed up and crashed up more than the other. And that's what happened to Wood, man. But I think so. But I think Lara should be careful coming back out to the UK. Canelo is cornered. Berlanga is his only win. Bivol, Morel, Benavidez, Saul is scared. Yeah, I think he beats Berlanga no problem. But I gotta say this, Kevin Knight. I gotta be fair to Berlanga. Edgar Berlanga is with his old trainer, and if he can re-embrace that style that got him all the success and got him those knockouts. Now, true indeed, the opponent has a lot to do with it, but if he can re-embrace that, and especially going into the next fight, I think we could see a sharper and a more improved Berlanga. I think he took a few steps back going to those other trainers. Same thing with Daniel Jacobs. When he left Rozier, Jacobs looked crazy. You can't leave Rozier and go. You can't turn a lion into a pussycat. That's what drives me crazy. They're out here turning lions into pussycats. Let a lion be a lion. You can't come now and expect for a lion who's used to eating meat to come out here and eat heads of lettuce. Let Canelo be a killer. Let Berlanga be a killer. Let Deontay Wilder be a killer. These guys, let them go out there and destroy their opponents. Who cares? Make the referee do his job. If the referee's not going to stop it, let him tranquilize him. That's how I see it. But I think Canelo knows, fighting that goddamn Benavidez and Morel, I think Canelo knows that those are high-risk fights, and he's not in any rush to get in the ring with those guys. Latham, I think it's ×2. Wood going to want to land some big and get caught. Lara best at 126. Yeah, it could happen again, man. But we just got to see, because Wood can fight. But Lara hits hard, obviously, man. And Wood just has to try not to get caught up into that craziness, man. Because he's getting out there exchanging with a damn killer. And Lara is vicious. Lara's mean, man. You saw he spat on somebody at the end of the fight. So Lara's just an ignorant ass, fighter out of Mexico, man. He just doesn't care. If you want to fight, he's like, bring it on. Latham says he definitely is cornered, a lot of smoke around him, but watch, easy way out. Yeah, I think Canelo's one thing about Canelo, he's like, I'm the A side. And he learned that from Mayweather, but Mayweather still fought everybody. Canelo, and then the other thing, Canelo's at the end of his career. But I think Canelo's going to take the fights that make him the most money, because Canelo wants to become a billionaire through boxing. And he's got some dough. But I think he's going to take the fights that's going to get him closer to being a billionaire. Latham says, after Lara beat Wood, unification versus El Venado. Yeah, I agree, man. That would be a good fight. That would be a good fight. Kevin Knight, when the comp gets better, the pretenders fade fast. Absolutely. That's right. Because these guys, it's just like when we watched people talk about Amir Khan and Maidana. I just posted that clip of Maidana getting hit to the body, but pushing through it. Hey, man, when you start to fight these guys who don't want to lose, who can't afford to lose, who don't want to go home anymore, they don't want to be poor, you know what I'm saying? And they're elite fighters, there's a different type of hunger, different type of passion. And you're absolutely right. You're not just don't expect to hit somebody and they go down and not get up. Don't expect that. They're going to get up, they're going to keep fighting. And that's just how it is. You know what I'm saying? You're going to run into those Margaritos. Now, Margarito is a cheat, but Margarito wasn't a guy who's going to stay down. Mosley put his ass down, but Margarito was one, no matter how much you beat Margarito, he's going to keep coming at you. Even though he was a cheat, Margarito was one of those fighters, you got to shoot him. You got to kill him. Providnikov, another one, you got to kill him. Haney versus Loma predictions. I'm going to be honest with you, I think Haney, hey man, that's a tough one. I'm gonna be honest with you, but I think Haney, he's disciplined. He's got the stick on him. He's got the momentum going. He's younger, stronger, bigger. I think Haney wins, but I think like we were talking about yesterday, I think Devin Haney has to knock out Lomachenko to get a draw, and that's how I feel. He gotta knock him out to get a draw, because you can see the stars are lining up. They do not. Bob Arum does not want Haney to go off into the sunset with all those belts. That's why they're now trying to push Stevenson against Haney. If Haney beats Loma, Bob is doing everything he can to keep those belts. But I think it's going to be more competitive than what people think. And I'm saying that because I'm looking at what's that guy's name? Jermaine something, man. The guy at Loma fought when he came back. Jermaine whatever. He got a Spanish last name. But anyway, Loma, I don't see how Loma got through that fight. But if Loma was just getting the ring rust off, and he got past that guy Jermaine, whatever his last name is, then Haney could have a tough time. Latham says, "Oh yeah, Lara got to fight Warrington after." Yeah, that's it. Warrington was the guy he got spit on. Kevin Knight, he'll vacate those belts. Hell yeah, he'll vacate those belts. These guys don't want to get knocked out and embarrassed. It's like Ryan Garcia. You take a good shot and go down on a knee, and you can continue, but you choose not to because, in his own words, he felt he was going to get hurt even more, and he didn't want to. Latham says at Chinchilla, he says he thinks he's going to be the tough first round, but Devin will start to pull away and get a split. I could see that. I really can see that happening. Or the silk pajamas guy. Yeah. Yeah, no doubt about that, man. Latham says Liam Smith versus Eubank Jr. June 17th. That's a bad fight. Horrible fight. Eubank Jr. shouldn't take that fight, in my opinion. Especially if Liam Smith is bringing him down to, I think, 160 pounds. Stupid. Dumb. You know, why would he come down to 160 pounds? That's crazy. So I don't know what the weight's going to be, but I think Eubank Jr. was winning the fight. But what Eubank Jr., he had his hands down to his knees, man. But I just don't like that fight for Eubank Jr. Liam Smith knows he can knock him out now. He's not going to sit there and be worried about mixing up with Eubank Jr. He's going to go in there and turn into a shootout, and he's going to clip him. Chinchilla. Is this Haney's last fight with Top Rank? Yeah, it's supposed to be. Chinchilla Ortiz. Yeah, that's it. Jermaine Ortiz. Kevin Knight. If Haney's at 100%, he beats Loma. I believe we'll see the best Loma. Yeah, and Ortiz, yeah. I think we're going to see the best Loma, too. Lomachenko's fighting for Devin Haney is fighting for respect. People still, they make fun of Devin Haney, say he can't break an egg. They call him ugly. They say he can't fight. They still won't give him the credit he deserves as a champion. It's unfair how they treat him. I think people forget Devin Haney's, yeah, he's an adult, he's a man, but he's a young man. You know what I'm saying? To come out there and say the kind of hurtful things they say about him, man, that shit is crazy to me. You want to talk about his boxing, that's fine, but they go overboard with it, man. You know, and I don't agree with breaking down young people like that. But I think it's going to be a very competitive fight. I don't think the fight's going to be boring. I think we're going to be on the edge of our seats because Lomachenko's not going to sit there and just allow Haney to just jab, right hand clinch. Lomachenko is smaller. He's going to fight small. He's going to get in between those shots, underneath those shots, and Devin Haney's going to be there. And I think he's going to be surprised at how fast Loma closes the distance and is in his face. So I think it's a close fight, but I think Haney should pull it off, but we'll see. Yeah, Haney's last fight. Yeah, Latham says I think Chris will beat Liam this time. He'll start to take control. Yeah, Chris was winning the fight. He was easily outboxing him. He just, I don't want it had that Roy Jones in him. Had his hands all the way down by his knees, and then you know what I noticed? Chris Eubank Jr. was just standing there, like standing there with his hands down, doing nothing. And I couldn't understand that, but that's bad habits he developed being with Roy Jones Jr. It's crazy. Crazy. I think Chris would beat Liam. Yeah, Eubanks. Yeah, Eubank, man, I don't know, man. He should have stayed with his dad. And I'm just being honest with you. His dad had him as a monster. But, he went over there to Roy Jones and started out there with this damn, rooster cockfighting and all this other crap. And, his skill set has deteriorated, and now he's devolved into I think, a less threatening fighter. Latham, Chris needs to bring back, senior, and buzz cut go to Eubanks. Absolutely. That guy who used to tear apart that stationary mitt that stationary mitt machine. That guy. That's what we need to bring back. His dad had him right, but Roy Jones Jr. has him wrong. Kevin Knight, Haney has respectable power. Guys, they're not just rushing Haney. The educated left hand will slice you up. Oh yeah, I agree. I agree. I think Haney has respectable power because yeah, I haven't seen anyone just try to necessarily run through him. But then again, we haven't seen Haney really fight a truly big name yet either. This is Haney's, and this is just being fair. This is Haney's first real elite name on his resume. I think Kambosos was a great fighter, a good fighter too, but he wasn't elite. This is his first, no kidding, elite name on his resume, and we're gonna see. Knight says Haney dropped some hard rights on Cam. Yeah, he dropped some hard rights. Haney did a lot. He did everything great in both of those fights. His Kambosos just couldn't get behind the speed, the accuracy, and timing of that jab, and he just really didn't know how to fight out the clinch because the clinches was just coming so fast, becoming behind shots where he was in full defense mode, and then Devin was on him. Kevin Knight says Eubank's done as a champion. I think he's done too. I mean, we're talking about Eubank Jr., right? Eubank Jr. is down here at because we're talking about Eubank Jr. I mean, look, my man is floating around here at 160. Now, let's be honest. Eubank Jr., chin is questionable, right? It's out. Everybody knows now. He has a horrible fighting style. Him fighting Cash out there in the UK. Fighting this guy, No Sultanov. How does he do? Fighting Lara, who's standing basically in one spot now, but he can still box. How does he do? Derevchenko, how does he do? We know what happened with Smith. Adamus kills him, in my opinion. Alim Kanuli, bad matchup. Even Munguia, horrible style matchup. And Golovkin, it is what it is. Matter of fact, he was supposed to be fighting Golovkin, and he messed that up. You know what I'm saying? He messed that up by losing to Liam Smith. But that was the next fight for him, Gennady Golovkin. But it just didn't work out that way. But Eubanks at 160, which is probably a weight he shouldn't be at, but he definitely can't go to 168. Not at all, man. Latham is telling Kevin Knight, Dev be breaking bones and stopping people in sparring, but when he cut down, he weakens himself. Yeah, absolutely. Devin Haney, no kidding, man. This guy walks around like 170 something. Could you imagine cutting more than 40 pounds to get down to a weigh-in just for a moment in time? I mean, that's crazy, man. To get all the way down to 135 for a moment in time. That's crazy. And that's why when you see these guys who are able to do that, matter of fact, just look at James Toney and the weights that he was fighting at. And to see James Toney go all the way up fighting as a heavyweight. So that just lets you know, man, some of these guys, they can just do it, and others can't. Shit, what's his name? Sean Porter used to fight at 168, something like that, when he was an amateur. It's crazy. Kevin Knight, Kambosos should have never had those belts. Yeah, he stars lined up for him. Teofimo lost his right to complain. He underestimated him. Him and his dad didn't take him serious. And they could say that he was sick. They could say that his lungs were an issue, that he should have been dead. He was a walking corpse. They could say all they want. Bottom line is, they got in over the head against a guy who knew he was in for a real fight, who trained his butt off. And they underestimated him and went in there thinking they were going to knock him out in the first round. And they learned that they had somebody who from down under who was there ready to fight. Eubank gets slaughtered at 160. Yeah, Eubank Jr. needs to get, I think he needs to get rid of Roy Jones, man. But I don't think there's anything else Eubank Jr. can do. Eubanks Jr., he's been fighting for a long time. Eubanks has been fighting for a long time. He's been a pro for 10 years. So, he's getting around that age where it's time to call it quits. 160 is a mess. Janovic, then who? I tell you what, man, when it comes to 160 pounds, it's like nobody wants to fight this guy, Alim Kanuli. You know what I'm saying? When you take a look at it, Andre ducked him. When is he gonna get another real fight? Shit, Danny Garcia is supposed to be fighting Erislandy Lara. Now, what do you think about that? Danny Garcia and Erislandy Lara at some weird catch weight. You got Adames, who's on Jamal Charlo's neck, but he's probably not getting that fight. He wanted to fight Munguia. De La Hoya's not putting Munguia in there with him. And over here for the IBF is vacant, so somebody's going to be getting it on for that. Then Alim Kanuli, he just can't get any of these guys to fight him. So this whole 160-pound weight division, I agree, it's complete madness. You tell me we can't get a unification? We can't get a unification at 160? Man, that's crazy to me, man. Absolutely crazy. Janovic fighting, a Rudy Poo coming up from 154. I think that's because he just can't get the fights he wants. You know what I'm saying? Alim Kanuli, them guys are just tough fighters, man. And guys just don't want to get in there and try to persevere through like those a prime Gennady Golovkin type fighter. Those Bertabiev type fighters. Like, they just don't want to mess with them. Those Stanley Eunice, those Bultaev type fighters. Guys don't want to mess with them. If Haney bounced back from the weight cut and top rank judging shenanigans, equals Loma's best chance. Oh yeah, Devin Haney and that weight cut, yep, and all the secret society and top rank and all the crap they're doing to set up those pitfalls for Devin Haney. Loma will have a good chance, but you just never know, man. You just never know that, and that's a good point that you bring up, Lathan, man. Chinchilla, about that damn weight cut. Devin Haney really shouldn't be fighting this fight at 135. He's fought, I think, 2 to 3 fights too long at 135 already. Shouldn't do it. Same thing with Teofimo. He fought 2 to 3 fights too long at 135 and had to go to 140. And I think Ryan Garcia as well. You know, these guys just need to be at 140. Chinchilla, I think Haney gonna overall of it odds was against him in Australia. They gave Kambosos 4 rounds. The odds were against him in Australia, but the odds are against him here in the States because you got Bob Arum, who's been around boxing for how long? Bob Arum, who has a damn connection with the damn cartel and fights and everything else. So I truly believe when it comes to Devin Haney, I can see a situation where, hell, if they'll give Ryan Garcia a 10-10 round after Tank Davis knocked him down, right? A 10-10 round? And then the other 2 cards were 10-9s? Man, anything's possible. So yeah, but I have a feeling they're gonna rob Devin Haney. And I'm not just saying that. I truly believe they're gonna rob Devin Haney. So he gonna have to knock him out cold. Like, they're gonna have to stop the fight. That's what they need to do. Lara outboxes Garcia, and Charlo and Andre are supposed to be talking for June. Yeah, I saw that. I think Lara outboxes Garcia, no problem. Charlo and Andre, I don't know, man. That's a good fight. Andre didn't look that good at 168, but at 160, we'll see. I know he said he was struggling to make 160, but Charlo should get Andre. Latham says, Lara outboxes Garcia and Charlo. Munguia trying to fight Triple G. Yeah, I saw Munguia out there trying to fight old man Triple G, man. But I don't know if they're going to make that fight. Chinchilla, Triple G needs to retire. Yeah, I agree. Triple G, he's just hanging on out here making these $1 million paydays. But it's only because he and his brother both were really good amateurs. Triple G and his brother both were supposed to turn professional. But Triple G and his brother agreed that one would stay back and take care of the family, the mother and father. And they agreed that Triple G would turn pro. So Triple G is going to keep fighting until basically he can't fight no more. That's because that's just like the agreement he had with his brother, his family, his parents. And if he can keep making $3, $4, $5 million a fight for nobody, he's going to keep doing it. But him fighting Munguia, that's probably a high-risk fight for him right now. I agree. I think he should, if he's going to take those kind of fights, he should just retire. If not, keep milking the damn cow. Just make sure he has a cow and not a bull. If Haney can't get, this is Kevin Knight, if Haney can't get that Tank fight, 35, he's gone. I think he takes a Tank fight. Tank has to take the fight too, though. You know, it ain't just Haney, man. Damn, word on the street, I think we talked about it earlier. They said Tank and his team were saying they were saying they didn't want to fight Devin Haney, but I don't know. But I think the only fight to make at 135 is Tank and Haney. If Haney beats Loma, I mean, like, just decisively outboxes and beats and punishes Lomachenko, there's nowhere for Tank to run. There's nowhere for Haney to run. I know Tank got the whole shit going on with jail, but damn, Haney is a fight to make. Latham, Devin only staying because he want to make the best fights, but I agree. Yeah, he's only staying because he wants to make the best fights, but I think two is because he wants to make the best fights. One is because he has all the leverage with all those belts. If Devin Haney gives up those belts, he goes back to what? He's got to reset. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't want to reset. You know, that's a lot. Could you imagine? You have all the belts at 135. You're going to give that up and think you're going to be able to accomplish that at 140? Let's be real, right? I got, where am I? I got 10 minutes before I get off. Let's be real. I'm not going to talk long. Devin Haney, the only reason he got that opportunity at Cambosos is because Lomachenko chose to go fight for his country. If Lomachenko doesn't do that, Lomachenko beats Cambosos, and now Lomachenko is the man. I think we can agree on that, right? But at the end of the day, stars line up for Devin Haney. He capitalized. He seized the opportunity, defended the belts twice in Australia. He's the man right now. But I think deep down, when anybody is alone by themselves, they know. It's like me going somewhere to buy a car, and I'm supposed to pay $50,000 for it. And then on the way out, when I'm out going to the finance guy, I see they got it, the price out the door is $30,000. And then, am I going to say something? Maybe or maybe not. Then I drive off with the car, deal done, got financed for $30,000, I pay cash, whatever, and I got this car when it should have been $50,000. So stars lined up for me. But when I'm at home at night, I know that, you know what, I really should have paid $50,000. But I got lucky. Devin Haney's case, when he's alone at night, he knows that he didn't really have to put a lot of work in to get all four of those titles. But that's not his fault. But for him to go to 140, that's a lot of work he's got to put in. And I just don't think Devin Haney at 140 is going to be able to handle business like that. Kevin Knight says Triple G is done. Kevin Knight says all the promoters are La Costra Nostra. They each play ball the same way. Hell yeah, the symbiotic relationship across those guys and the damn secret society, no doubt. What you think about Abdullah Mason? I think he needs a significant step up already. He's mature in the ring beyond his years and can soon compete now. I just think he's one of those guys who needs an opportunity, man. You know, he's only 18, like you said. He's still growing and maturing. They better get out the way. Yeah, I agree. I also feel that way about the 35, 36-year-old Ghanaian fighter out there in the UK. I just did a video on him. Yo, that guy started fighting late, but he's got the goods, man. And if they give him an opportunity, he's out of here. Latham says, right, it's already tough for Dev to get a fight. It's going to be even harder. Absolutely. Hey, that being said, man, I got to jump off of here and get ready to go up here, man, to get my son. But I tell you what, man, if you guys didn't hit that like button, I'd appreciate it if you hit that like button. It means a lot to me. This is the Cash App. If anybody out there wants to donate to the channel, I'd appreciate that too. But at the end of the day, I just appreciate y'all getting on here with me and for us having the live and having a conversation. It means a lot to me. I got 2 more minutes and I'm going to bounce. He says he definitely had to put in work. Just a sense of getting in position for the belts and was throwing everything and the kitchen sink to block Haney. They were. I agree with you. But I agree that the belts weren't handed to him, but it was like a one-stop shop. You know what I'm saying? It was like a one-stop shop. But that being said, man, y'all take care. Appreciate the likes, man. Y'all keep cool. I'll be back on tomorrow. I'll probably stay on for like 4 hours because I'm done with all my courses and everything. But I will be back on tomorrow. Y'all take care. Have a good day. Eat some good food, man. And I'll probably be back on later today to talk boxing as well.